welcome Sarah Gamblin to Home is Where the Dark Is. Thank you so much for coming by the studio and taking the time to have a chat. So how's everything going? You have a new show coming up. Tell us about that.
Thank you for having me here.
Of course.
And yes, we have a show with Escape the Fate and Stitched Up Heart on February 16th at Garden Amphitheater. It's exciting. We've played with Escape the Fate once before. Stitched Up Heart, this will be the first time. But I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a really fun show. It's always a great venue to go play at.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, have you guys have played there before?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Escape the Fate.
Oh, cool. I've only been there once, and it was like last year for one of my friends has a band called Siglos, and they played at what was the festival called? I can't remember the name of it, but they played there, and that was my first time there. It's a pretty cool spot. It's like a little mini like festival stage kind of thing going on. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So are you guys gonna play any new tracks, any new songs at this show, or do you gonna be playing like your usual set list, or?
Yeah, we're going to have 2 new songs that aren't recorded yet that we're going to play at the venue or at that show, and then 2 of our very first songs. So kind of bringing in the old and the new together.
That's great. For anyone who might not be familiar like with your sound, like how would you describe like the niche genre of metal that you guys do?
I mean, we've never really placed ourselves into a genre just because we don't even know.
Yeah.
But the majority of people place us into melodic death metal.
Yeah.
I think because it kind of encapsulates like all the different aspects we bring into our music. But we can kind of, fit ourselves into multiple genres. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to really place a band where they don't care what sound they have.
Yeah.
They just write music that they like. So I guess melodic death metal would be the umbrella for us, but I don't even know.
Gotcha. Yeah, when I like refreshed my memory with your songs before you showed up, and what really strikes me is like in some of the newer songs, you go from the cleans to the screams like instantaneously, like in certain parts. So are there any like special techniques or warm-up rituals you do just to like be able to switch between those 2 techniques like so seamlessly?
The biggest thing is not to strain your voice, or to really like push too hard when doing that, because especially in the beginning when I first was learning how to do vocal distortion, I pushed way too hard and I would blow my vocals out, which is really bad. So now it's just really keeping everything relaxed. No alcohol. Try to limit like spicy foods or anything like that that's going to kind of irritate possibly your stomach and whatnot. I do pretty basic warm-ups, like the classic do re mi kind of vocal warm-ups. I don't really do anything too fancy. That's about it. And I like no cold water, like room temperature water, just stuff like that. Yeah.
That's cool, because like I know it's weird because every vocalist is different, but I mean some vocalists, they have they don't warm up ever. They just go out on stage and they kill it. And some people, they have a very specific long warm-up routine, and some people have like a quick 5-minute thing. So it's always cool to hear everyone's different routines for that. So
definitely.
Did you take vocal coaching with an instructor, or did you kind of learn online, or how did you get into that?
So I never had an instructor, never been like trained or anything like that, which I would like to grow my voice, so one day I will. But as far as learning, I guess, like vocal distortion, it was really stupid how I learned. And it was an accident. It did take me like 2 years to kind of figure out how to do it. But I learned from watching Jenna Marbles, and I would imitate this like vocal thing she would do when she would say Julian or something like that. And I was doing that for years, not recognizing it's the same kind of muscles that you use. And one day I like used that voice, and I thought about it. I'm like, I feel like if I mess with that a little bit, I could probably make that into a growl, because I feel like that's close to what it sounds like. And sure enough, that's how I learned. And it was really easy because I've been doing this for years, making that noise, just goofing off. And came to a band practice one day and just kind of went for it. And all my bandmates were confused because I've never done it before. But that's how I learned. And then it was just over time learning how to, make that technique grow and not hurt myself or be irresponsible with, my vocals, which I was for like a year.
Yeah, so you're just pushing too hard and damaging your chords, and then you finally found out. So what kind of, is it like, was it like a vocal fry thing she was doing, or what kind of a thing was she doing in the video that got you to like learn from that?
I don't know if I would say it was a fry, but it was just kind of this like, I don't even want to reenact it because it's like embarrassing, but it was just kind of this like gravelly noise that she would do with her voice. And it was like she would just push a little bit louder when she was making the voice, or I don't know. People who watch Jenna Marbles know what I'm like talking about. But it's not like a vocal fry. It definitely comes from like your guttural area. So I don't know how to really explain it, 'cause I don't even know.
Gotcha. Yeah, my next question was going to be like, since you do those guttural vocals, like who are your influences, like metal singers, with for that technique, to learn more of that technique and to develop your voice?
For the lows, definitely like Corpse Grinder. Now for like the higher black metal screams, Eric from Watain, definitely. I get a lot of influence from him. But I don't really pay too close attention to what other people are doing as far as that goes. I like to listen to the music, and of course I'm sure I subconsciously take inspiration from many different bands.
Yeah.
But I definitely, as far as like gutturals and screams and stuff like that, there's not too many people I take a whole lot of influence from.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because I mean I sound a lot different than the majority of, people in the metal scene who do vocal distortion, because my vocal set is not, like I'm a woman. I have a lot different vocal set than like what a man's going to have.
Yeah.
And there's not a whole lot of women who do vocal distortion. There's like more now. But I don't know. I think we're all so different in the way we sound. So it's hard for me to take influence from other women.
Gotcha. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I love Corpse Grinder. Like Cannibal Corpse has been one of my favorite bands since I can't remember, because, when I got into technical death metal like years back, I just fell in love with Cannibal Corpse, and when Corpse Grinder came in the band, and like just his stage presence, and I can tell that you like his stage presence as well, because I've seen some live stuff of you guys when you're doing like the full on Corpse Grinder helicopter, whatever it's called. What was it called? Like the
the windmill.
The windmill.
Yeah.
So like immediately it was like, yeah, she's into Corpse Grinder. So yeah, it's cool to hear that, because like death metal and melodic death metal, and there's so many like subgenres of death metal now. But I absolutely love like that type of aggressive vocal, and it's cool to hear like everyone does it slightly different, and it's just it's really interesting, and it's so exciting live, especially when the band is really tight. So yeah, it's always really exciting. Are there anything you do in rehearsal to try and like help with your stamina for when you're performing live?
I definitely try and stand in different like poses, I guess, to see what really opens up my diaphragm, and kind of helps me like breathe more air in. Especially now, like it's been a challenge to try and figure out what's gonna keep my stamina up. But practice, I guess it's really just, how can I hold this the best, and how can I, expand my vocals this way or whatnot. I mean, I definitely try, not every practice. Sometimes we're just goofing off and having fun, which, I mean, not sometimes, like majority of the time. But there are times where, especially right before a show, I really want to make sure that, like, what's gonna help me breathe, what's gonna help me kind of hold in a lot more air and not push it all out and then be on stage out of breath.
What was probably like, I would say, what was one of your favorite shows you guys did from 2023?
It would probably have to be at Circus Bar in Mexico City. That was really cool. It was my very first time out of the country. So, the whole entire trip was quite a monumental moment for me. But that show was just, it was really special. The people that were there were so kind and so supportive. We had a great crowd response. The venue and everybody that was putting it on, the sound people, everything were very kind and very helpful. So I think that was probably my favorite from 2023.
Nice. And about how many shows did you guys do last year?
Oh, I don't even know.
A bunch?
It was a lot. Yeah, I have no idea, a number. Okay. I don't know.
So you have the show coming up next month, but are you planning on trying to get on any tours this year, or do you have any other things lined up, or are you just kind of playing it by ear right now?
We would like to tour. There were talks last year of us trying to get onto a tour. I don't know, how that's going to go, or if that's going to end up getting booked or not. We don't have anything booked at this moment, but it's definitely something we're talking to, a booker about possibly towards the end of this year.
Awesome. So how's it been, the relationship with Metal Assault?
We were signed to them for 2 years, and I think it was a great opportunity for us to learn, a lot about the scene, because we were still pretty new to it. Mm-hmm. And it definitely helped us get on our feet and get us out there and get connected to some people that we would have never probably, been connected to at all.
Yeah.
So I think overall it was a very helpful experience for us. Towards the end, I think it just kind of, between the label and us, we had different, views, or, our goals were very different for what we wanted, which is why we did not re-sign with them. But I would say it was a very positive experience overall.
Good. That's good. Yeah. It's great to hear that, because, it's so, how the music industry is, especially with a lot of, indie labels, but even obviously the major labels, but it's always great to hear a positive story. That's why I was curious, because a lot of bands have a lot of negative stories. So it's cool to hear that, you guys, it helped you guys out in the beginning stages of the band's career. Now you're looking for the next step. So that's great to hear. Awesome. So I'm just curious, how did it come to be? How did the band Through the Oculus, how did you guys form? Whose idea was did you guys create the band name together? Whose idea was that? And just kind of give us a little history on how you guys formed.
So the band was originally formed by our guitarist, Randy, and our bassist, Lauren, back in 2017. This is kind of their project they wanted to start on, but they couldn't find a singer and they couldn't find a drummer for a couple years. They came up with the name, so they already had the name in place, and they were just looking for, the spots to be filled for the right people. And it wasn't until 2019 they came across, Eric, our drummer. He worked with our guitarist, and I don't know, I guess he saw him, they did heavy equipment. So in one of the trucks, Randy saw Eric, drumming with drumsticks in his truck or whatever. I don't know, something like that. And so then he asked him if he was a drummer and if he wanted to be a part of the band. And he was a little on the fence, because he had just started another project, but he was willing to give it a shot. And then for me, they came across me from my childhood best friend's dad told Randy that I'm a singer and he should definitely come check out my stuff and see if I'm a good fit for the band. And so they watched a few of my covers on Facebook. And I barely had Facebook for 2 months at that point. Mm-hmm. And so it was kind of a coincidence of the timing. And so he reached out to me, and I met up with Lauren and Randy at Starbucks and just kind of talked to each other about what our goals would be and if I was interested in the band. And I was. I was super excited. I'm like, oh my God, no one's asked me to be in a band before. So that worked out really, really well. And that's just kind of how it all came together. We had a practice and we all got along really great. It was a good practice. And then that's that. That's how we've become a band.
Awesome. So was being a singer in a metal band, was that part of your childhood dream, or is this something that just kind of happened?
Kind of just happened. I always wanted to be a singer. I just didn't know how to go about that. I grew up very sheltered, so I really didn't know how the music industry or any of that worked at all. Like that just seemed like such a daunting task to be, you know, a part of a band or pursue singing. I had no clue. I just thought maybe go on American Idol and, you know, somebody likes your stuff and decides to sign you. I had no idea. So I had a very, very like naive idea of what it was to be a singer. So I didn't care. I just wanted to sing. And then I got into metal when I was 18, actually. And that's when my path kind of changed from wanting to just be a singer to wanting to be a part of a band. But again, I had no idea how to do that.
So when you got into metal, what were the bands you were listening to that like really piqued your interest?
Beginning bands that I got into were the typical like Metallica, Slayer, Megadeth. That was like what I was listening to in the very beginning. But it wasn't until I got into black metal that I really, you know, fell in love with metal. I really liked Slayer, but I just wanted to hear something like heavier, wanted to hear something darker. And then I just went to the path of black metal, and then Watain was probably my first favorite black metal band, and that really, you know, lit a fire in me of like, I want to be a part of this scene. But at that time I had no idea how to do vocal distortion, so I'm like, how the heck am I going to do that? I can't even do it right now. So I was trying for many years to figure out how to do that with my voice, and then here we are now, and I'm not in a black metal band, but I'm in a metal band.
So what was it exactly about when you found these darker bands that drew you in like deeper? Was it the sound, the image, like a combination of everything, or was there something more specific that drew you in?
The sound definitely piqued my interest first. I think Mayhem was the very first black metal band I ever heard. I was on a random playlist, and one of their songs came in. I don't even remember what song it was, to be completely honest. But at first I'm like, what is this? I've never heard this before. You know, at first when you hear something like really heavy or really dark, you're just kind of like, you don't know if you like it, but you're interested.
Yeah.
And so I listened to some more Mayhem, and I ended up really liking them. And then the path just kind of went from there. And so I think the sound is what piqued my interest first. And then I started like getting to see the visuals of the bands. And then I really liked that too. It definitely grabbed me even like further into the scene. I definitely like the images, and not all of it. Some of it's not my interest at all, or I don't really like it.
What's too far for you? Like what kind of like image or what kind of band?
So I mean, there's definitely like the racist aspect that I don't like. Obviously, I mean, I think it's normal to not like that. And then also the animal cruelty in some of the bands.
Okay, gotcha.
That bothers me. I'm very much like an animal activist, so that imagery is not really something I'm too fond of. But unfortunately, a lot of black metal bands definitely use that.
There's a lot of that, yeah, with black metal, like all the goat sacrificing and whatnot, all that stuff.
The pig heads on spikes and stuff like that. That's not really, I'm not into that. But there's bands that I do like that definitely partake in that imagery. But, you know, I just choose to not...
You can just listen and not watch the videos and all that.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of videos, what has been... You guys have quite a few videos. What is your favorite one?
My favorite one is Defiled Kingdom. It's the one we've gotten the most hate for because I don't understand it's a joke. Yeah, it's very much like a cheesy LARPing... pretend video game kind of a concept, but it was so much fun to like record that video or film that video, and we just got drunk at the park and LARPed with a bunch of our friends, and it was a great day. I love the video. My horse got to be in the video, so I don't know, that's probably my favorite. I know it's not our like best one, it's our most hated, but
you said your horse?
Favorite. Yeah.
Oh, cool. So do you have more than one?
Oh, no, just one.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How long you've been riding?
I mean, really my whole life. I grew up with horses. My dad has always had horses around, so it's just been something ingrained in my life always.
Awesome. Yeah. I like that. I have a friend, her name's Annabelle. She's a photographer, and she's really she likes riding horses. Like the last time she was here, we did a photo shoot here in December. And she was just telling me all about like her horse and her, how much fun it is. And she's like, you should come sometime. I'm like, maybe. But yeah, I would love to, but I'm just so busy with like my schedule is so jam packed. So it will be cool to do that one day though. Your dad's always had horses, so it's just something you kind of just started doing at a young age. Obviously, it's a lot to, take care of when you have a horse, but is it just the connection with the animal? Is it, that seems like to me that would be the main thing. Or is it just, what specifically about it like draws you?
For me, definitely the animal. They're my favorite animals. I think there's something very special about a connection with a horse. They're like big dogs, but there's so much more respect in that bond because they could kill you if they wanted to in a second, or cause some serious damage. So I really, really love them a lot. I know a lot of people get into it because they like to compete. They like to ride horses and, win the belt buckles and the saddles and whatnot. I've never competed. Not my thing. I don't care. I just like to have a horse to ride around, the desert that I live in, and that's about it, take care of them. And they're very, very strange animals. They have a lot of personality, especially mine, which I love. And I just let them be
What's
weird.
strange about them?
If you let them have a personality, you'll see some very weird behavior from horses. They just do really goofy things. My horse, he likes to grab my sweatshirts and stuff like that. Or he likes to, I don't know, the way they play with each other. My friend, I haven't met my friend's house, and they like to just, it's like they're bickering with each other all day long.
Okay.
And then, but they try to be, if you ever try to separate them, they freak out. Oh my God, you're my best friend. Don't leave me.
Oh.
Yeah, they're strange. They hate each other, but they love each other at the same time. And even with me, he hates me, but he loves me at the same time.
That's cute. I like that. So you live in the desert, so was it quite a drive for you today, or?
About 2 hours, but
oh damn,
that's actually really not bad for me. That I really live in the middle of nowhere, so 2 hours is normal.
So Joshua Tree area, or whereabouts?
The high desert, so Victorville.
Oh, okay.
If you know that,
yeah,
I bet it's another 30 minutes deeper from there.
Gotcha. Okay. Are you guys planning on releasing a new record this year, or new singles, or music videos? What do you have in plans regarding a new release this year?
We have been in the studio, so there are plans to release a couple singles and
nice.
Hopefully some music videos too. We like the visuals, even if they're kind of cheesy at times.
You gotta have a video.
Yeah.
I see so many bands and up and coming bands, or all kinds of different bands in different points in their career, but it's when you put out a single without a video, it's just kind of because people need that visual part, just because everything's on Instagram, TikTok, they need to see the video, so it just seems like it's super smart to have the video as well. So yeah, it sounds awesome. Where are you from?
Apple Valley, and I still live there, so yeah, born and raised and still live there.
So when you joined the band, and was it kind of a shock for you, coming to LA and and getting into the industry? Was it a bit of an adjustment?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I really didn't go to shows a whole lot either. I'm very introverted and very socially awkward, so it was kind of overwhelming for me, and not everybody's very nice. So, and I'm kind of a people pleaser. So when people didn't like me or rude to me, I'm like, what did I do? So it was definitely a culture shock for me, but you kind of learn to grow thick skin pretty quick and just get over it. I would have a beer and then I would take the edge off of being nervous, and then I was just kind of okay, well, I'm here, and there's a lot of people here, but we'll get to perform, which is always fun.
I think that's super common in with artists and creatives in general. A lot of us have anxiety or social anxiety. So yeah, it's I find that a lot of people I've known, even when I used to drink, it's a lot of it is to take that edge off, like you said, when you're out in public, or you're at a show, or you're playing a show, or doing whatever. So yeah, it's just it's a super common thing with creatives. I found like you say you said you're socially awkward, but to me you don't seem socially awkward.
Well,
but we just met today. But yeah, I see what you're saying. Like it's a tough dynamic to navigate, like when you're just thrust into the Hollywood scene. It's like, oh yeah, because some people seem like they're really they're upset with you, but it's just them being their weird self, and it's like it's a lot to adapt to sometimes.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
And then you learn people a lot of times are stressed out themselves, and they're rushing around to try and get things taken care of, so they come across as a little negative or like angry at you, but that's not the case at all. Like, it has nothing to do with you. They got their own thing going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've learned that too. Like over time, I don't take things personally whatsoever, unless someone like directly comes to me and says exactly, what I'm doing wrong that has pissed them off. Then that's different. But most of the time, it's like, people are just in their own world, in their own mind, like. Who knows why they're reacting that way to you. So yeah, it's just kind of where my mind goes with it. Okay, so this is the themed question of the podcast. So what was one of the darkest points in your career or life, and what did you do to overcome it?
I think the darkest time in my career or life would be about 2021. And it was more of my personal life. I was in a really, really bad relationship. And so it was physically and mentally abusive. And so it really, I shut down for a long time. And it wasn't really up until the end of 2022 that it kind of healed from all of that. Mm-hmm. I got kind of irresponsible with drinking to try and cope with it, which is never okay, never a good option. Thankfully, I was able to get it under control before I harmed myself or anybody else. And just, depression was really, really bad. And I kind of withdrew from the band as well. I wasn't really active too much, involving myself in the writing process anymore, or, showing up to a whole lot of rehearsals anymore. I just wasn't I wasn't in my own body for a good 1.5 to 2 years. So that's probably the darkest time for me. It's hard for me to go into too much detail with that, because it might be triggering to a lot of people. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of the situation.
Well, thank you for sharing. Yeah. I've known quite a few friends and, acquaintances and people that it's so common to go through, a toxic relationship or any kind of struggle in a relationship. And often we use different ways to medicate ourselves, right? To get through it. So I completely understand. And I went through my struggle with alcohol phase too, so I completely understand. We all get into it for different reasons, but it's mainly to just bring back that comfort, because when we're going through a hard time, it's just so uncomfortable and awful. So whatever we can do to feel comfort, I totally understand why people become addicts to whatever substance of their choice. But
for sure.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing that. And it's great to see that you guys have, you have some stuff lined up this year. And, it's been cool to see you guys progress, and the music getting better and the videos getting better and the shows. I've been checking out all, the live footage and all that. So,
well, thank you.
You're welcome. So if you guys could tour with any band, what would be your dream tour?
Probably Lacuna Coil. That's our very first, as a band, that was our very first cover we ever did, was Heaven's Alive from Lacuna Coil. So we kind of have this special place in our heart for the band. Not to mention we're all fans of the band, outside of that. So that would be really cool. Plus, to meet Christina would be a dream of mine. I look up to her a lot. So definitely the dream tour, hopefully one day.
Before we wrap it up, is there, where can everyone find you on social medias and your personal socials and the band socials, so everyone can go check you out?
Instagram for the band is TTO .band, or even if you type in Through the Oculus, it'll pull it up as well. Okay. And then for me, it's Sarah L. York. Okay. And then Facebook, Through the Oculus, the full name, and then Sarah Gamblin for my Facebook, and like the random social media platforms too, like TikTok and whatnot. It's the same thing, Through the Oculus and Sarah Gamblin.
Cool. I'll put those links in the description. And before we wrap up, is there anything else you like to plug or mention before we go? Maybe you want to plug your show one more time and the location and all that.
Oh yeah. So February 16th, Garden Amphitheater, with Escape the Fate, Stitched Up Heart, us, Through the Oculus, and Zero to Hero.
Well, thank you, Sarah, so much for stopping by the studio and, having a chat. And yeah, I look forward to, see you guys, how you progress this year and your new releases and, what shows you have coming up. So thanks again for stopping by. I appreciate your time.
Well, thank you for having me.
Of course. Bye, guys. Thank you.